Here we go.
Okay, wonderful. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for this session on Affinity, a guide for educators, and which is part of the Canva World Tour. We'll be starting in about a minute or so, but we're going to wait for some more attendees to arrive. We're expecting quite a lot of people today. It's been quite a popular session. We're running two of these today. We're running one now. We're running one in about 4 hours' time as well. So we're hoping that yeah, come back again if you if you want to see it. But we're really pleased to be showing you some great stuff today about the new Affinity app. If you are coming from lots and lots of great different countries, I know we love having a really global audience on these webinars. So please do tell us where you're coming in from today. Where have you joined us from? I'm in the UK. Dave is from Seattle in Washington State.
Seattle. That's right. Hello,
Indeed.
everyone.
Yeah. And we've got Roberta from Mexico. Hey there, Roberta. Ashley from Germany. Already, you see, I love this. I love this when people are arriving from all over the different continents. North Ants in the UK. Hey, Jackie, good to see you back. We've got Nazia in London. We've got Stan in Slovenia. Beautiful country. We've got Guy from Dudley. Oh, wow. That's where I went to college, not
We
too
got
far from there.
we got Vancouver,
Uh,
Washington, or Vancouver, BC, Gareth.
oh, I'm guessing BC.
Of course.
Yeah. Awesome. Right. You can see I just this is wonderful. So it's really great to have you on the call today. And we are going to be kicking off on this session. So you're all here to find out a little bit more about Affinity, about what's happened with Affinity, how it is obviously now completely free and available. A massive coup. We're really excited about what this means for education, and we're going to try and give you a little bit of a sense of what we think as educators this is going to mean for you. So if you've not attended any of our webinars before, I'd just like to introduce myself. So I'm Phil Badham, and I'm an educator in the UK and also a director of Learning Designer Pro, which we're pleased to bring this to you today. And Dave, tell us a little bit about yourself too.
Hey, I'm Dave Olinger. I'm, as he said, in Seattle, Washington. I'm the director of digital strategy at O'Dea High School. So, really invested in how technology can, transform and elevate education. And I'm here as a my one in my past. How Phil and I met is I was a photography teacher, and we met in a well, I guess an industry group at the time that was
Mhm.
elevating creativity in education in 2012. So, I'm
Yeah,
glad to be here on the call.
absolutely, definitely. Now, if you have not joined us before and you would like to join our community, so with Learning Designer Pro has a community of educators. We love sending you out newsletters, telling you all sorts of things about great resources, great tools, news in the EdTech sphere. If you'd like to become a member of the community, Dave will put this into the chat. And there's a bit.ly there's a QR code, and you are well. We'll put a link into the chat as well. But we'd love you to join our community. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And again, Dave will be slotting those into the chat very shortly. And we are available to do sessions in your schools, in your districts, or for your company. So do please get in touch with us after the session if you would like to find out a little bit more about what we do. And the sorts of things that we like to get involved with. Okay, without further ado, let's go to what we're here for today, which is the Affinity product. And some of you may have been aware of Affinity when it was bought out by Canva about a year and a half ago, I guess it was. And at the time, Affinity had three products: Photo 2, Publisher, and Designer, all of which were great competitors in the space of graphic design, page layout tools, and also image editing. Very powerful tools, but at a very good price. But then Canva bought Affinity, and then Canva and Affinity have been working away, and back in October decided to show the world its brand new product, which brings together all three of those functions into one single fully integrated creative app. So, and not only that, but actually has made it completely free, freely available in education, and free if you have a Canva account, premium account, it is fully available for you. So We're really excited by this, and we're also really excited to demo the features today to show you how it differs from photo publisher and designer as they were, and how you're now faced with this very, very game-changing scenario of having everything at your fingertips in a single workspace. So one of the things that there's two really arguments to be using Affinity above other products that cost a fortune. Apart from the fact that it's free, it is supremely powerful. And what we love about the fact that Canva and Affinity now sit side by side is that you have all of the automation and template capabilities that Canva has, but then you have something to move forward into when you want to go into that pro design space. So, quick design tools are great, but they don't move the needle in terms of your graphic design skills until you start to really get deep into design and deep into structuring and deep into layout. And that's where Affinity comes in. We've got a very carefully selected set of tool sets that make up the studio spaces in Affinity, and that makes for a very intuitive, very seamless experience when you're switching from one space to the next. And it doesn't force AI. AI is there in the background. AI is now brought in. It's available. It can do some great things, but it doesn't, it doesn't sit there intrusively at all in the program. You'll see it as we go into it today. It's just really, really does a great thing of augmenting design without being too intrusive. The great thing as well about Affinity when you download it onto your computer is that it is not bloated. It does not take up 1,000,000 GB on your computer. It does not crash your system. It does not require massive amounts of RAM. It is very, very streamlined and works like a treat. So, we love all the things that Affinity are bringing to the table with this new iteration of it.
In fact, I was, as you can see in the images, I was teaching my photography students on Affinity just the other day, and they said to me, "Oh, this isn't as glitchy as the software we were using. This isn't, shutting down because their computers aren't that powerful." And so they were really thrilled that they could get through their workflows without it going slow or shutting down on them.
Absolutely. And Dave, you actually spoke to recently, didn't you, to a university professor about the capabilities of Affinity and what Affinity would mean for that university if they decided to adopt Canva and Affinity into their university. Now, I know some of the things that came up in that talk match some of the ideas that we put down here about why there's an argument of the value of Affinity in education. But I just wondered whether you want to touch on a couple of the points here about why Affinity is such a game changer at the moment, or
Well,
could potentially
well,
be.
Well, look, I've seen your demo and I really want to get to that as quickly as possible. You've got a great demo set up for everyone here today, but I would like to really point out that, some of the struggles that a lot of professors and students and teachers have is that oftentimes the universities or the schools have labs. The labs have a pro design software installed on it, but then when they leave the university or they leave the school setting, they either have to use their own subscription or they have to, come to the lab and do all of their work. And some of the pricing, shall we say, of like an Adobe, is that students get 2 years at a cheaper pricing, and then after that it goes to $70 a month, which becomes super unaffordable. And
Yeah.
so what some of these university professors notice is that students have a hard time getting their work done because they're trying to get back to campus, and it really affects students that don't have as much money, don't have as much access. And he was also noting that that step from after getting your training at university to becoming a graphic artist or to becoming an artist or being known, if you don't have that investment or the ability to pay that money, there's the pathways then get limited. And so this product really does solve an equity crisis in education. In addition, the whole design itself. And this is what I was noticing when I was going through with my students, because we were toggling through the different studios, is that the way graphic art is going today is not the specialist route. We're the days of having a photographer that does the photography editing, having someone that does the pages, and having someone that does the vector art is just going away with AI and other supports. And so what they're really looking for is a generalist. And
Mhm.
this Affinity application really does provide a singular studio to work in that does emphasize the generalist, the one that can do all.
That's right. And I think you mentioned studio there. And if you think of Affinity, what you'll see when we go into the demo in a moment is that you've got this ability to just switch in and out of the different workspaces that you need to use. So at the top there, we've got the conventional four, the big four, if you like. We've got the vector, pixel, layout, and Canva AI, which you can switch between. But that doesn't mean that that's the only studio available to you. You can switch different workspaces and tool sets by selecting the little three dots at the top of the screen there next to you can just see up here, we've got the three dots, and then you get this ability to create and have your own studio, a set of tools. So you can actually build your own space that works for you with the tools that you use the most, or you can use these very carefully selected tool sets that will appear and be available to you, and or your workspace will switch around. So what I love about this is just the ability to enter into the app and think, well, whatever creativity, whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever the outcome is, that you've got everything at your fingertips in that single space. So we've talked about it. Let's have a little look at it. So I'm just going to bring Affinity up, and what we're going to be doing today is playing around and creating a little bit of a layout that incorporates text and images such as this one here. So this is from I've created a little page here that might be something that you would find in the National Geographic, or it could be part of a bigger book about lizards. Or animals in general. It's got a lot of facts, it's got a lot of information about them, very attractive. Could be something that you might use with students, or it could be something that you would produce as a book for children. But either way, we're going to be looking at parts of this layout to see how we can create some of the things that you can see on here. And what we've got is a mixture of different things. We have obviously a bitmap image there, the chameleon. We have layout, we have text, and we also have this little image here that I've created as a vector graphic. So we're going to be looking at three different things today: layout, vector, and image editing, and how we can create this that you're seeing here just by staying in the one app and moving between the different spaces. And if you look up at the top, you can see that this is how we switch between the spaces, between the studios in Affinity. So I can switch between vector, pixel, and layout. And then you've also got the Canva AI Studio as well, which allows me to create all sorts of things such as specifically generated AI generated imagery. Now, when you first actually begin though with Affinity, when you open it and you land in it, you will be shown a landing page. So essentially you've got this dialog box that comes up, which either shows you the recent documents that you've been working on, you might want to slide directly into, or you can look at these Learn tools. So if I go to the Learn tab here, you can see that there are some lessons that will get you into Affinity straight away. As Sage says here, already noticing the UI is more user-friendly than the Adobe UIs. Absolutely. The workspace UI chooser in Adobe is right at the top right, okay? And it's tiny, whereas this one, it's very, very clear, very easy to see, and in the right place. So we've got this ability in the Welcome to Affinity Learn section, and we can actually download some of these tutorials to get us started with them. And as you can see there, it imports it, and it gives you lots of lovely videos to help you on your way with that. But as I said, this is what we're going to be doing, and we're going to be starting off thinking a little bit about using the layout tab. So I'm going to set up my page to begin with, and then we're going to be starting to look at all the different things that we can do with Affinity. So let's go back to my landing page. I'm going to start a new document. So it's my little green button over on the right hand side, and I'm going to click that, and it's going to bring up another dialog box, this time giving me all my sort of different page sizes that I can use. These are all standard page sizes, European sizes, A4, and also letter size for the transatlantic folk. And we can do different preset orientations up here. So if I want a landscape, I can toggle that one there, or I can toggle to portrait. So I'm going to choose portrait, and I'm going to choose letter. And over in the document settings there, I can then start to do my more granular settings. And actually, I just want to have a multi-page. So I'm going to select 8 pages, something that might become a booklet, for instance, and we're going to arrange it horizontally. going to start on the right-hand page. I'm going to have facing page spreads for this one, so that when you open the book, it will be a two-pager in front of you. And if you're sending this to a professional printer, you can put in your bleeds, okay, if you need to run your images outside the margin of the page for print for color purposes. So you've got all of the classic things that you would need to do. We don't need margins or bleeds for this one, so I'm just going to click on Create Document. Okay, and that should be ready to go. Also, there you can see whether you can prefer embedded or linked images too, but let's just create that document and get going. So I'm in my layout because I selected obviously the page layout there. I'm in my layout studio, and I've got my pages viewable and clickable on the left hand side, so I can access all of my pages here. What I've also got on just above it is the ability to create a master page. So I'm just going to quickly create a master page for my book, and I'm going to start one here. I'm going to add a master, and I'm going to call this lizards, because this one would just be for my lizards page, and we're going to do them across spreads as well. Okay, so there is my, oops, I'll just do that again, sorry. Just make sure that that is the right way around. Just bear with me. There we go. Right, that's better. So here's my master. And what I'm going to do now is just very quickly draw out the border. So I'm just going to use my rectangle. So you can see here on the left-hand side, because I'm in the layout studio, I've got my tools down the side. And if I just hover over them, you get a nice little tooltip as well that tells you what to do, as well as your shortcuts. You've got drag and click there, but I'm just going to choose a rectangle, and you'll see there that I've got my tools can be docked, or they can be floating on the page next to me quite usefully. And I'm just going to draw out a rectangle there on the page. And then I've got all the tools here, these little properties bar up there, so I can start to put in my size. So I've got quite a large margin there on my rectangle, and I'm going to choose a sort of green color for this one. So just make that. There we go. So there we go. There's my colors sorted, ready. And I'm then going to switch out of that and just put in a little section up here. So section 1 is legends. Okay, and I can choose my tools, my fonts up here as well. There we are. And then finally, what I'm going to do, because I'm working obviously in a page layout tool in the studio here, is just draw another couple of text boxes here and here. And I'm going to go to my text tools, insert fields, and I've got all the things that I can then add into that text field, such as page numbers. So anything with a variable that's going to change from page to page, I can add in to the bottom, and I'll just copy that over to the other side as well. Now, as you can see, as I'm doing this, all of my different layers are appearing in the layers panel on the right hand side. Very familiar workflows. If you've worked in Pro Design tools, you'll be thinking, oh, look, there's my layers panel, there's my paragraph, there's my text stars. Everything's where it should be. Everything's where you expect it to be, which is, as Sage said above there, that noticing the UI is more user friendly than the Adobe UIs. We have that familiarity, but we do have that much clearer way of doing things, I think, anyway. So there's my master, and I'm going to drag my master now down onto pages 2 and 3. Okay, just resize them to match there, and then just drag those down, okay, onto my pages. So, oops, there we go. My page 2 and 3 is basically set with a master there. So I've got my master page set up. What might I want to do now? Well, if I go into my pages that I've currently got, I might then start to think about adding in my chameleon image. But before we do that, let's just drop out of that for a moment and go back to our presentation and have a little think about the page layout features that we've currently got in Affinity. So we've already been working in the layout space there. We've got some, we can manage short and long documents quite happily. We can do text and object styling. We can do master page features, which we started playing around with. And we can also start to wrap text around complex objects as well, which we'll see further along in the demo. Um, but the one thing I think, is that we're going to be switching between layout and vector and pixel spaces, and all of these represent different skill sets. And as Dave said, this is all part and parcel of having that generalized skill set that allows you not just to be a graphic designer but can't do anything else, but to be able to switch between all the different things that you need to do to create the creative outcomes that you require. So page layout itself is a desirable skill set, just because once you know how to lay out a page and you've got those visual communication skills, students, whether they're doing their portfolios, whether they're producing leaflets, infographics, they've got agency over those crucial things that will move them into the right sort of jobs, move them into the right sort of careers. So, what represents them in the world? What represents their skills? What represents their career to this point? Will be in a format a little bit like this. So having the design skills to put something together and having the ability to do that in an app which is free and available to them is very, very powerful indeed. So, and we know from our own work with using page layout tools that, if you're getting students to be working on page layouts, they can do publications, they can do reports on their field trips, they can do fanzines, personal interest brochures, newsletters and sports day, drama programs, portfolios, CVs, resumes. These are all things that we know work particularly well in schools at different levels with different students. But we also know that different stakeholders can be using Affinity, whether your marketing teams, your admin teams might want to be doing things like prospectuses, creating their guides to elective programs that are coming up in the next year. Doing collaborative magazines with local history groups or community groups. We're currently working with a archdiocese in a state in America on their newsletters and how to use Affinity to create newsletters. So, it doesn't just have to be the educational principles of it. It's really anyone that's producing these sorts of outcomes will find something in Affinity which will do everything that they need, essentially. So what we're going to now look at, though, is the Pixel Studio. So having had a look at Affinity's layout, what about its ability to handle image editing? So let's drop back in to our Affinity space. And this time I'm going to go up to the top and choose my Pixel Studio. So immediately, as soon as I've done that, you can see that my tool set has changed. We now have a different set of tools at the bottom, and my panels have also switched as well. Now, one of the things that I love about the new Affinity app is the ability to bring up stock directly in app. So no mucking about with libraries, no having to wander off to iPhoto or another stock. You can get your stock directly, royalty-free, attribution-free from Pexels in app. And where do we find this? Well, we find it in the Layout app. We also find it in the Pixel app. In the Pixel Studio, we've got layers, channels, brushes, and then we've got a stock tab on the right-hand side. And you can see there that this is now completely integrated with Pexels. So I'm just going to type in here chameleon, spell it correctly would help, and we'll see what comes up. So immediately I've got a whole range of different images that I can choose from for chameleons. And it's quite conveniently the first one that I'm going to pick here, which I'm going to drag onto the screen. So that's going to place my chameleon. There we go. And I can just size it with my pickup handles. What I love about this is that by default, the aspect ratio is locked. Whereas in other apps that we won't mention, you have to obviously lock the aspect ratio to stop it. But this one is locked by default, which is fantastic. And I'm just going to move that over to the side. So I've placed my image directly into my layout, and then I might want to start doing different things. Now, in the old versions of Affinity, I might use my selection tool, okay, and then start doing sort of object selection with it. And you could do that if you want to do it manually. You can do that. So your object selection would I can start to pick out the chameleon if I want to. Okay, just sort of adding parts of that. That's fine. But what if, okay, I just want to go the easier route and just get the AI to do the selection process for me? Well, having selected the image, if you look up here, So I've got along the top here of my properties, I've got this little starry icon. If you can just see that there, which is when I put my mouse over it, will show the tooltip for Canva AI. So by clicking that, it's going to give me the main AI tools that I can start to use directly on this image. And remove background is right at the top there. Now, if you've used remove background in Canva, you'll know just how good it is, right? So if I just click on the remove background, the Canva AI will do the same sort of magic that it does when you're working in the Canva app. As Dave says, appreciate I'm a photo editor and in layouts at the same time. So no smart objects necessary. Absolutely right. So there we are. That's done an absolutely superb job. Look at that. So just the remove background. It's crystal clear. All the different spines on the bottom edge of the chameleon. No feathering needed. No refinement. Absolutely stunning, right? So I'm just going to park that there. Maybe size it up a little bit more. Okay, and that's going to work on this image. So I've done remove background, but now I might want to do some more traditional image editing on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go to my Pixel file menu at the top, and I'm going to go to filters. And the first thing I'm going to do is do a little bit of unsharp masking. So I'm going to choose unsharp mask. And again, if you've worked in filters in other apps, you'll be looking at those thinking, oh, fantastic. We've got distort tools, we've got diffuse glow, we've got sharpen, we've got all the things that you might normally expect to see. So I'm just going to click on unsharp mask. All right. And I'm going to basically take that up here. You can see how these little panels are floating. And look, you just look at the chameleon here. Just look how much sharper the detail is coming out in the eyes and the scales on the face. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that up there and then just apply that destructive edit. Okay, and then so having done that, I've got a much sharper chameleon, it's all very good, but now I might want to start working on these colors a bit, make them a bit more vibrant. Now, if I go back to my layers panel, what you can find here is that if I'm got my chameleon selected, down here, I've got the ability to have layer effects, masked layers, I've got filter layers, and I've got adjustments. So I'm going to make it an adjustment, okay? And I'm going to choose a vibrance adjustment layer. So that's going to come up, and you can see there it's added an adjustment layer above the chameleon, but it's also above the master. So watch what happens to the border. So I'm going to turn the vibrance up just to give that chameleon a bit more of a glow, and I'm going to saturate up so the colors are a bit more poppy. So they're popping a bit, but you'll notice that actually the border is changing at the same time because, of course, the adjustment layer sits on top of everything else. I don't want that. I don't want the border to change color. So once I've done that, I'm then going to, what I can then do is I can bring that adjustment layer down into the pixel layer so that it only affects the chameleon. So now my border has gone back to its default color, and it's only the chameleon that has the adjustment layer in it. I love this. I love how you can just drop that adjustment into that layer, and then it's essentially just fixed inside of it. And if I want to, of course, I can then lock that layer down if I don't want to do anything more with it right now. So having done that change, I can then lock it. I don't actually though. I'm just going to do some other edits. Now, I could set up a brand new pixel layer at this point and do some non-destructive editing, but I am actually going to be a bit destructive now. But I'm going to go up, have a little look down all of my different tools here until I find, where are we? So we've got a filter brush tool here. We've got these tools. So what have we got? Burn brush. Now, if you know anything about sort of white room editing, you'll know that, in other words, the digital version of darkroom editing, you know that the dodge, burn, and sponge are all ways in which you would adjust a chemically treated photo. So I'm just going to use this burn tool just to darken up some of the layers. Okay. And so I'm just going to click over here, just darken this up a little bit. Oops. Make sure I've got the right layer there. Turn that up. So I'm just darkening up some of these areas. Just like it just makes it pop a little bit more. And then I'm also going to brighten up some of the layers here. And you can see you get a preview of what your tool is doing when you run your mouse over it. So I'm just lightening up these little highlight edges, okay, just to make it a little bit more 3D. Okay, and having done that, I'm happy with my chameleon and I'm ready perhaps to move on to my next one. So I could switch back to layout and I could perhaps um, duplicate this spread, okay, take him out, and maybe I could go back to my stock and this time I could choose Komodo dragon, and that could be one that I'm working on underneath. Okay, so I can bring that one in and I can start creating my book that way. Okay, so what you can see there is that we've got the ability then to well, there's my Komodo, there he is, and I could just maybe do a remove background on him as well, and I can start to get my book going. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just drop back out for the moment again. Let's go back to the what we were doing with the pixel layers there. So we've got enhanced masking, we've got layering management, we've got pro level tools there. We've got image access, we've got blend mode, styles and filters. We've got intuitive non-destructive editing. I was doing a bit of destructive editing there, but you can also, of course, do that on a filter layer or pixel layer. But we know that image editing is a desirable skill set because obviously students are saturated, young people are saturated with manipulated images. By understanding how images are manipulated, about how images are changed and adjusted, we actually teach them the literacy of what they see and what is real and what isn't real. And actually being an author of that can be extremely empowering for our young people. But of course, they're also learning techniques that will be industry standard. They're learning how to do the things that the professionals do and the experts do. And that is part of strengthening their identity as digital creators, as digital authors, but also means that when they are, again, producing those things that represent them, that they are doing that in a professional way, which represents them and resonates with them, and which, you know, the audience will find particularly good. So other things that we've done with schools around image editing are, you know, things like Rauschenberg combines. So using very, very different layering skills to do montages and composites so you can emulate different artists. Um, Also very excited when we're doing things like theatre posters or doing film posters. We got one there where students were using a selection of 4 images to see how they could create something that would represent the themes within a Shakespeare play that they were studying. And then the final one on the right-hand side is where you had students who are photography students who were learning how to use composite layering to represent some of the work, the photography work that they'd taken on a recent trip to Paris, and how they could use black and white photography to create these rather grungy, textured, textural images. And I love these. There's so much that I actually took the results the students did and blew them up to A2 and actually framed them, and they are in my house. And that's how much I really valued the work that these students had done with their combination of these industrial spaces and these sort of grungy textures and lettering. I just thought it was great. So these are some ways in which we work with students on image editing or using image editing for genuinely good educational outcomes. So let's drop back to our demo again, and this time I'm going to sort of move us along a little bit. So I'm just going to shut some of these down, and then I'm going to go to a recent stage. So we're going to open up my document and have a little look at a little bit further down the line. So having put a few other bits and pieces onto my page, I might end up in a situation a little bit like this, and I might want to start adding some more elements at this point. So you can see that I've already added in some labeling around different parts of the chameleon, and I've also added in a little map there of Madagascar and some icons, and we've already started to get some text styles going on as well. What you'll notice when you look at these is that you'll notice that I've got these boxes where the sort of edges fade out, and I think that's quite a nice little stylistic what's the word for it? Just a nice little stylistic trope, I guess. So I'm just going to show you how to build one of these out, because what it shows us is how you can handle gradients in when you're working with shapes, and how you can also use the transparency tool to good effect. So what I'm going to do is just choose my rectangle tool again and select a square. And I'm going to draw in this quick facts section here a box that just comes over there. Now, once I've got my box, I can start to adjust the properties of that box up here. And I'm going to keep the stroke, the outline free, but I'm going to choose a color. Now I could choose a single color here in the left-hand side, or I could choose a gradient. So let's choose the first part of my gradient on the left-hand side, choose a color, and I'm going to use my little eyedropper. And I'm going to go across and choose one of the greens in the chameleon here. All right, and then I'm going to choose another one, maybe a little bit greener up here, a little darker green maybe. Okay. There we go. So now I've got two colors. I might just change that one there again. Oops. Let's just choose one that's a little bit more different. Okay, that'll do. So that's my gradient. That's for the fill. Now, if I want to fill, I can. That's how I do a gradient. I can also do one with a stroke as well. But let's just select. Oops. Let's just select that for the moment. And can do that again. Just this time. With that. Okay. So that's to show you how to do the gradients. I didn't actually need the fill, so I'm going to get rid of that and just leave it with the outline. And I'll just take that outline down a little bit. Okay, up here, just to about 2 points maybe. Okay, so there is my box. Now what I'm now going to do, so you can see the gradient going from a light green to sort of dark green, is I'm going to come down here to where we've got this wine glass tool, which is called the transparency tool. Y is its shortcut. And then I'm just going to draw from the bottom of the corner, make sure my rectangle is selected first. I'm just going to draw a line up until about here. Now, when I click away, what you'll notice is that that transparency tool now fades out the lines here and here as well. So it no longer goes over the top of the chameleon. It just comes short of that. So that's how I created my funky little transparent boxes ready for some text to take place within them. So let's now have a little look at the layout tools when it comes to text flow, because one of the things that we know when we're using a layout tool is the ability to handle complex text. So I'm going to go to File and, oops, just click off for a second. I'm going to go to, first of all, select my text tool, and then I'm going to go to File and Place. And I've got some chameleon text that's ready, okay, for my page, and I'm going to open that, and that's going to load up my text tool. And it's already decided where it wants me to perhaps have this, but I can draw it out myself if I want to. So I'm just going to draw it out over the top of the chameleon. But we know that we've got oversized text here, and we know that because that little red button there tells us that there is other text that hasn't been put into that text box. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to draw the rest of the text down here, my quick facts there. Okay. So the problem is, of course, though, is that my text isn't wrapping around the chameleon. All right, it's great now. I've got two boxes where they're connected to each other. If I change anything in box one, box two will be affected. But so that we've got this definite relationship between the two. But at the moment, it's not wrapped around my chameleon. So what I might want to do is start the text wrapping tools. Now, the text wrapping you will find in the text here. But we might also think to ourselves, well, I want to have it a bit more readily to hand. So can I actually have my text wrapping tools on the screen as an interactive icon instead? So yes, I can. Basically what I could do, okay, is I can add it onto the side here. If I go to customize toolbar, I can type in wrap and I can get all the wrapping tools that are associated with that and park them onto the top of the page. So now I have my text wrapping on the top in my studio space up here, so that when I select the chameleon and I select my text wrap settings, they're right there in front of me. I don't have to go through the menus. I can just add those up, and now they're sitting there ready for me to use. And I can build all of the tools across the top here as part of my unique experience, my unique workspace. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is select text wrap. Yes, Brenda, all of those files can be ported across. And I'm going to select tight, and I'm going to select both sides, and you can automatically see that that has now wrapped the text around the chameleon on the left and also along the right. Now the right is good, but it needs to be a bit further away. So I'm going to make some manual adjustments to that. Okay, on here. Okay, and there is my text wrapping that's been done on my chameleon. Fantastic. Well, we know, and some of you already started to mention InDesign, okay, and you're all sort of thinking, well, okay, yeah, we've got all the same sort of features here. We've got really complex text flows, but we know that InDesign handles text styles and character styles, particularly when we're working across longer documents. Okay, so how does that work in Affinity? Well, it's as intuitive as you would expect. So what I'm going to do here is turn these subtitles into the same style as the did you know at the bottom. So let's just highlight that and go to my text styles on the right hand side, scroll down, and we find we've got a one called subheadings here. So that is the subheading I used for the did you know section on the bottom left. So if I click that, it's going to update the style for me on the page. And then it's just a question now of working with my text boxes, okay, and making sure that they're not impinging on my quick facts down here. So you can see there that we've got text styles, we've got paragraph styles. So everything that we're familiar with from other applications, it's all here. It's all as beautiful as you would expect. If I double click inside my subheadings, you can see that I've got in the text style editor, character, font, color decorations, typography elements, variants, figures, washes, you know, everything that you would normally expect when you're working with text styling is there, and it's all up for grabs. It's all editable, and you can create nested styles if those are the sorts of things that you're used to using professionally as well. So fantastic set of tools right there for us. Okay, what else do we need to do? Well, we've got a few things to do first. What I'm going to do is create my chameleon title now as well. So I'm just going to put in a space at the top, type in chameleon, but I'm going to basically choose a slab font. So let's go down to this one and put that in there. And then I'm just going to do a quick clipping mask with my layers. So let's find that. And let's go to pixel. Let's get some stock. Use this one, bring it over. And I'm just going to do a quick clipping mask for these two. Okay, so you can see there that I can create a clipping mask for my text as well. So if I want to have my image and my text textured or multicolored or reflecting the sort of colors that a chameleon might enter there, you can see that it's very easy for me to create clipping masks as well within Affinity. All right, okay, so we have done quite a lot there. We did some text flows, we have done subheadings, we have applied a clipping mask to our title. What I'm going to do now, before we move into the vector space, is just very quickly have a look at some of our AI tools. So I'm going to switch to Canva AI, and I'm going to create a chameleon eye for us that we can have as a sort of extra thing to show close up. Now, before I do that, I want to make sure that whatever the AI creates is in keeping with the color scheme I've currently got on the page. So I'm going to go down into my generate image box, this panel here, and select from image. I'm going to choose the chameleon main image. I could have chosen it from the document as well. And then I'm going to type in chameleon eye. Now, it's not much of a prompt because the AI will automatically enhance my prompt for me. So let's click on generate and let's see what the AI does. So we're now working in the Canva AI studio space. We've still got a layout, we've still got everything else, all those studios, they're all working interoperably together, and we're going to wait to see what it produces. Now, earlier on, when we were doing this, it came up with this image, which was very much in keeping with the colors and the tones that I'd currently been using in the document. So let's see what it comes up with. And there we are. It's come up with a very similar one. And we're going to park that there as my chameleon eye. And then I would just move that image out. So there we are. So I've actually created a little close-up or something that might augment my image, my chameleon eye. If I don't like it, I can see the history of when I've done this before. I might use this one instead. Okay. And I might decide that actually, for all its color difference, I might decide on that one. So there you go. That's how your AI tools, your generative AI tools are built into the studio space, but you can see how unobtrusive it is compared to if you're using Photoshop, where it's right there, your generative AI and you fill. This is available, it's there, but it's not intrusive. It's not right there on your toolbar, which I really, really like. Okay, fantastic. Well, let's just dive out of that for the last part. Let's go back to our presentation for the final focus, which is on our vector spaces. So we know that vector graphics are scalable graphics. We know that they are created by paths, and that means that they will always keep their integrity as an image. They won't pixelate, they won't deteriorate, they will retain their sharpness. And it is that graphic design skill set that we know that students desire because, well, for one thing, when you get very good at working with vectors, you're working with precision, you're working with shapes, you're working with geometry, you're working with color, and you have to be very, very on it. So when you're working in graphic design spaces with vectors, it's not, this is going into the real nitty gritty of what it means to be a designer and to know what you're doing when it comes to creating things that people need at different levels, different scales. So it is very much for me the sort of cherry on the cake of design literacy because of the need to have a mastery of hierarchy, form, and also the design principles of line and point. So now, we've done a lot of work with students in the past with things like wireframing, UX designs, looking at things like logo design, recreating famous logos such as the Olympic rings or the Coca-Cola logo, creating their own logos for universities, trying to think about incorporating design themes, colors, specifics, and also just things like, infographics, how you present data, how you communicate data in different ways, or just for the beauty of decorative illustration, such as the Kyoto one on the top right. Okay, let's come back out. Let's go back into our Affinity demo for the last time. And I'm going to very tentatively move to do this because sometimes I do this really well and sometimes I don't. So let's see what today is going to be like. But I'm going to switch into my vector space for this particular last part. And I'm going to go to my shapes because that's where it all begins. So here are my sort of primitives and I've got my ellipsis. And I'm going to, first of all, get rid of my outline, but I am going to create a gradient for this shape to begin with. So let's get some greens going on. That'll do. And I'm going to draw out a circle and then I'm going to duplicate that again. Okay, so I've got another, and I'm actually going to duplicate that again as well. So I'm going to park those circles up there for the moment. So I'm going to take this shape and I'm just going to drag it to about here. And I'm going to select those two shapes. And if I look across to my top, oh, look, they're all my punch tools across the top. Again, that I would expect to find in an app like Illustrator. And I'm going to click on subtract. And that's going to give me essentially a bit of a curve here, which is going to represent my chameleon tail. And then I'm going to bring my other circle back in for the moment. And I am going to produce a rectangle over the top of that. Select my two shapes, do another subtraction. Okay, and I'm just going to bring that up a little bit. Okay, there we go, just drop that down. And then finally, I'm going to duplicate that, rotate it around, and then just park that there. Draw another shape. Do some more subtraction. Okay, and just draw that down a little bit. And there you go. I've got my little chameleon vector. Final thing I'm going to do is just draw one final circle for the eye. Okay, and then just turn that white. Okay, and there is my little chameleon. And the last thing I want to do now is make sure that those images are combined because there's a little bit of messing about going on. So I'm just going to select each of these shapes and go to my shape builder tool. And that'll allow me to draw through those and create a single shape together. Okay, so let's just make sure that that is actually combined. There we go.
So
Oops.
Phil, I want to make sure you didn't miss it. There were a lot of applause for you and cheers for your
Oh, bless you. Thank you
risk
very much. I
taking
appreciate
and
that.
getting into this space. And so look, they're coming up. More hearts and cheers.
I love it. Thank you very much. So you don't always see those when you're looking at the other screen. So I'm just going to take a quick copy of that, bring it up to my my space up here, and just finally, I'm just going to switch the layout, get rid of that C. Oops. Because that's where I'm just going to bring that in there. I'll just paste it in there for the minute anyway. The C will have gone, but just imagine that for the moment. Anyway, there you go. I've just made my C. It would look like that if I crop the chameleons clipping mask that I created earlier. But there you go. That's essentially me building out a similar version of the one that I created earlier. So there you go. So that's just trying to cover the four main studio spaces: vector, pixel, and layout. So you can just see how easy it is to work in that one space just by flicking between the different studios. And if we just drop back into my presentation here, one thing I would say is that, if you're working with Affinity, obviously, and you're working with Pro Tools, don't forget that Canva has an entire design school with videos and tutorials to help your students understand the rudiments of pro design. So, there's some fantastic courses, fantastic lessons that are available for you to use, all about Canva, but also about, of course, everything relating to design principles and Affinity. And then remember that there are those learn modules built into the Affinity space as well. So you can work in Affinity and learn at the same time about it. And then finally, also, other things that people forget about are these wonderful color wheel tools, color palette generators that sit. If you go down to Canva, you go right to the bottom on the Design School website, you'll see these menus underneath, and there are some wonderful, wonderful tools and blogs available that not everyone is aware of. So if you want to have great apps that allow you to look at color theory, to look at complementary colors, to work out whole palettes of colors that you can use in your projects, do please have an explore, because it's not always obvious that it's there, but there is some great, great stuff available to you. And our final takeaways before we finish out the session today is just to let it sink in that Affinity is really freely available. And I just think that's absolutely amazing that they will have these pro design tools available for free without having some stringent subscriptions that they have to follow, or the school having to only be able to get a certain amount of devices because they can't afford it for everybody. We now have pro design tools at our fingertips for free. Dave, do you want to talk about any of those other points there on the takeaways?
Well, I think that we've just seen in the chat that there's a lot we can do with this with students. And what I love as I watch this demo is this unity in the applications that we're going to be upskilling our designers, our students in so many different ways because we have access to all the tools right there. You can play around with your vector drawings, you can get into photo editing, you can do your layouts all in one app, and it doesn't feel like you're training on separate ones. So this is what I'm looking forward to. In addition to that equity that Affinity is providing, Canva's providing, this accessibility to design that was once gatekept by the wealthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And when Affinity first came out, and I've been used to using the three separate tools, I was a bit like, okay, let's see how this is. Am I going to get confused switching between the all the different studios? Am I going to lose my place with all the different tools? And it was amazing, coming up with that chameleon one earlier on for the demo. It was so easy to switch, and actually my head, rather than switching out into this and then coming back into that, just the ability to do everything in one place. Uh, I'd never done it. I've never done it like that before. I've never had that ability to be able to do it without having three or four different massive different apps open, crashing my system. And suddenly I'm being able to do all of this in one single space, with that full access to my libraries as well. So it's been a real eye opener for me. And what I love about Affinity is that you see that all those tools are there, the tools that you use from day to day the most, and they're at your fingertips. But then if you go deep, if you dig down into the settings, if you dig down into those tool sets that for the customized toolbar, you realize just how much stuff is under the bonnet. Um,
And as
at
Mike
pro
says,
level.
that you can make your own studio. Now everyone's able to unmute if anyone would like to say anything.
Yeah,
I know
sure.
Phil has one more slide to go through, maybe.
Yeah, no, the last one really, Dave, is just to say that, we are obviously a training company. We've got our own training on Canva called the 3C series, called Craft Create. But we've had to go back to the drawing board and basically recreate a new set of courses for schools on using Affinity for students and teachers. And we've decided to call this Creative Infinity because we really think that Affinity provides pretty much everything that you need to do. And you can see there that we've obviously got the Chameleon demo, but on the bottom right there, we've also got a really cool esports uh, course, which allows students to create posters for esports characters and create their entire campaign using the different aspects of Affinity. So, we've had a lot of fun playing with it. We've had a lot of fun playing with the filters, had a lot of fun playing with the layering. We've had a lot of fun creating courses where you're switching between different workspaces rather than just working in one. And that is a whole new way of thinking. And we love it. I love it. So yeah, I look forward
Anybody
to getting
anybody
your hands
out
on
there
it.
want to have any comments on the session? Anything new here? What are you excited about after this demo? Feel free to unmute and chat.
Yeah, please do. We've got a few minutes remaining. We've left a few things that we're keen on the screen there, but let us know if you've got any questions about how you get Affinity. If there's anything that you want to know if you can do with it.
Oh yes, we do have a feedback form. Thanks for reminding me. I forgot to throw that in there. Classic move. Don't want you guys to tell us we're terrible.
Yeah,
Yes, we would love your feedback. Please use that form below to give us some feedback. It helps us get better and understand what the needs of our community are.
absolutely. Okay, so if you want to download Affinity and you've got a Canva account, just go to affinity.studio and you'll be able to download it there. You just need to then authenticate with your username and password, and then Affinity is downloadable onto your PC or Mac. So please do get playing with it. What's to lose? It's free. So thank you very much, folks. We're going to hang around just for a minute or two at the end here, just in case you've got any questions. But we'd like to thank you so much for attending today, and we've really enjoyed demoing Affinity for you. And as I said, if you've got any questions, we would love to help you out with that. Thank you, Maria, for your comments there. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Guy. Thank you, Marvin. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Gareth. Thank you, Marvin.
Jackie, do you have a
Thank you,
question? You
Katie.
have your hand up. Go ahead and unmute, Jackie.
Hiya. Yeah, I was having a go at the Canva AI tool to do the chameleon eye, and
Hmm.
every time I do it, you get the loading bar and it almost completes and then it force closes Affinity. And I did it
Oh,
three times and I can't think why that would be. I just didn't know if you'd come across it. Any ideas?
that's not happened for me personally.
No. Okay.
It might, I don't know, you might need to maybe do a reinstall. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no worries. I'll give that a go.
Was
Okay.
it, well, the AI was interesting. I was working out with students today, and they were having a hard time getting in at first. They had to shut it down and then open it up again. I think that was more of an authentication thing between their accounts. So I'm not sure if that would help, or maybe if there's an
Okay.
update pending.
Yeah.
But
My,
I did that with, like, about 15 students today. We didn't have any crashes. So
mhm.
I hope that it gets better for you, Jackie.
Yeah. Mike says there it might be the internet connection, unfortunately. You know, I don't know what the bandwidth you've got there, but
That's quite possible, actually. We've been having issues the last few days, so hopefully that's what it is.
okay, cool.
Thank you,
Let
Mike.
us know. We'd love to find
Thank
out.
you.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you. So thanks, Sana. The webinars are teaching me so many new things I want to try out. Lovely, thank you. And I'm on my third. Well, welcome. Thanks very much, Sana, for joining us. And also, we love having you in the community. And Dave, you can put that community link in there again if anyone wants to subscribe to our newsletters, so that we can tell you when we're doing more webinars and what we've got coming up in the pipeline. Um, that would
And
be great.
And Phil, can you show if you have Affinity open? So Katie's
Hmm.
saying that there's a place to give some feedback to Affinity that they respond to with a bug link. Um, there's
Yes.
a bug form if you want in the top right corner.
Yeah, so there we
So
go. There's your question mark at the top right. Um, and there is your ask. Now, one thing we didn't do, of course, in the Affinity demo is show you how to export. But I just want to point out in the export box here, just how many different export options there are here, including obviously EPUB options and the ability to send your design to Canva. So the ability to send it back and forward from, you can send your Canva design to Affinity and back. So you've got that lovely integration happening there, as well as the ability to create interactive documents. Yeah, absolutely fantastic, and some absolutely file types here I've never even heard of myself. So it really is very, very thorough indeed. So yes, thank you, Katie. There is the little get help with Affinity box there if you click on that question mark on the top right.
And if you want to watch the recordings of our sessions, we tend to repurpose these into our LinkedIn newsletter posts. So I know that I've thrown the posts up here in a bit, but any of our newsletter links, I put one in there. If you go to those links, you can subscribe right there, and just keep an eye out for our posts through our LinkedIn channel. We love to make fans out of our attendees. So become our fan, like our
That's right.
stuff, and see
And
what we're doing.
yeah, we do have some nice resources that are available if you subscribe as well. So keep an eye out for those. If you want to create things like the King Lear poster, we've got some resources we can send your way. Okay, folks. Well, thank you very much. We're on the hour, so we will bid you good night and or good day wherever you are in the world. I hope you have a great rest of the day, whatever that brings you. And we'll be repeating this webinar again a little later on, in case anybody missed it or wants to go in again. But yeah, it's been great. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.